everywhere I looked, I was being told by marketing, by advertising, by the beauty industry that I was done. Once your ovaries don't work, you've got one foot in the grave. You had a good run. You know, if you're not the hot girl at the bar, you're in Depends. Like, those are your options. And I said to my friend, I said, I'm pissed off because I feel great now. All the women I know who are over 50 are fabulous, and we're all embarking on new things. And I said, I can't imagine that the rest of the world, women in this era of their lives, are feeling represented. And that was unacceptable to me.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to How She Does It, where we meet extremely accomplished women and we ask them how they do it. I'm Karen Feinerman. I'm a longtime Wall Street investor, a mom of four, and a panelist on CNBC's Fast Money. Brooke Shields has been famous since she was a child. The actress, model, and New York Times best-selling author, who was once called the look of the 80s, has come into what might be her most interesting chapter yet. While continuing to act, she has also taken on the title of entrepreneur. She is the CEO of her own hair care company, Commence. And if that wasn't enough, she is also the president of Actors Equity. She's 60 and has very much come into her own. She shed the need to do what's expected of her and is now using her voice for the things she feels are most important. Brooke and I chatted about her love of acting, especially comedy, what she likes and dislikes about being the CEO of her beauty company, and how she feels about having her grown daughters back home, and what she thinks of the boyfriends. I love this conversation. Hope you enjoy. Brooke Shields, thank you so much for being with us. I'm so excited to talk to you. I have so many different chapters of your life to go into.
I'll try to answer succinctly.
Oh, answer any way that you like. Okay.
Okay.
So from the outside, it appears that you've always had this big, wondrous life. And I'm curious to chat with you about where you find yourself today, which is you're an actress with a new series, you're a mom with grown daughters and boyfriends, as we know, because we were just talking about it. Mm-hmm. You're an entrepreneur and a CEO of your own beauty company, and you're in the middle of a 4-year term as president of the Actors Equity Association. So how does that feel to you? Could you have imagined this grouping of titles?
The diversity of these titles is something that I feel blessed to be able to have. I think I've realized that my whole thing is just continuing to learn and grow. And my career has come in waves. And I feel really lucky to be this age and have this much opportunity. And I know it's all going to change, and my tenure at Equity is going to be done, and my show will be finished, and I'll be also looking for the next. My ambition is a very healthy ambition because I want to keep learning, keep growing, and keep taking advantage of the opportunities that I have.
So let's start with acting. You're killing me. The first series lead that you've had since Lipstick Jungle, which was 15 plus years ago. What made you say yes to this one?
I would have done a series the day after Lipstick ended, but shows don't materialize as often as people think they do. And I tried with a few other shows and they didn't catch. And so I kept trying to develop, and I've done a myriad of different guest spots in shows. This was a show that I developed because I got tired of waiting to be picked. And this is a very brutal business. And so I contacted a writer that I know, and I said, why don't we develop something that we think can get picked up? And so we started to develop this series, and then we pitched it, and ACORN picked it up.
Mm-hmm. In your third book, Brooke Shields is Not Allowed to Get Old, you note that the interesting roles for women over 40 are few and far between, as you were just saying. But Allison Chandler, your character here, and I've seen the show, which I think airs May 18th, right?
Yes.
So your Allison Chandler character, she's smart, she's flawed, she's definitely flirting with the local sheriff.
She's no dummy.
Tell us about
her. She's a very prolific mystery writer. She's been at the top of her game for decades, and she's sort of aging out, and she gets paired up with this young millennial podcaster, and they have to join forces together. Amalia Williamson, who plays Andy Walker, it's every now and then you come across a young talent that is pure and good and really has a work ethic that is so necessary for longevity in this business. And we were working like 16-hour days in like remote locations, and to be in the trenches with somebody at the beginning of, like, on the precipice of a new chapter in her career was lovely to see. And they're in a very sleepy town in Maine, and there's a murder every week. So they're able to join forces and solve murders.
Okay, so there are 6 episodes. There's a new murder every week, you said.
Well, it's fortunate for us that someone dies every week, because then we can solve the mystery.
Yes, especially in a small town, right?
Exactly. And in the genre of Murder, She Wrote, or Only Murders in the Building, we fit perfectly in. It's a sweet fishing town in Maine, and someone dies every week, and we're able to find the killer.
And so there's physical comedy involved as well for you. And since you were so involved, is that something you absolutely wanted to be able to do?
Oh, I fought for it. I literally fought for it. In almost every cut, they cut it out. And I said, you got to put the comedy back in. Got to put the physical comedy back in. Because these shows are hard to differentiate. It's a sweet, lovely genre of programming. In my wheelhouse with physical comedy, I think that differentiates us from a lot of what I see on TV. So I fought for it. And at the screening the other night, what was really made me very happy is all the stuff I fought for that they were worried was going to make me look silly. The audience laughed. You have to fight for comedy where it makes sense.
It makes sense here, for sure.
It made me feel really good, because you go out on a limb, literally, and you're like, oh God, and I fought for it. And people are always worried I'm going to look silly, or they're like, no, we need you to be likable, and we want you to be pretty. And it's just like, no, I'm not interesting unless I have something else. And physical comedy is something that I'm good at, and I like it. And it just makes it pleasant to watch.
So were you ever injured?
Oh, I get injured all the time. Because really good physical comedy, you kind of have to really throw yourself in. And I'm often injured, but it's good for the comedy.
Okay, you'll do anything for the laugh.
I will. I mean, listen, look, you look at, I mean, I'm not comparing myself to Lucille Ball, but like, you look at some of her best comedy, and you have to be willing to throw yourself in 100%. Otherwise, it's not honest.
Well, let me switch to a different chapter, which was your book, Down Came the Rain. I met you once in the green room at MSNBC, and I was doing some sort of finance hit. I had read the book, and we talked about the book briefly, and then you said you were working on another book, and this was the book about your life with your mother. And you instantly were so, I could just see how into the whole thing of writing you were, into the whole art of it, the projects are enormous and all-encompassing, and yet you really seem to love that.
I think, thank you for even feeling that and seeing it. And I appreciate that. And I think intellectually, when I went to college, it was the first time in my life I ever understood that I had opinions, I had intellect, and I had a whole other place that I could live, opposed to fame and this industry or being whatever I was. And so I think that every time I write a book, I get to go into a place that I feel inspired by using my brain. And writing was probably the first. Broadway and writing. I'm going to say writing came first, and then career-wise, talent-wise, Broadway was a similar exercise as writing a book. And so writing to me was one of the only places that I didn't have to expose myself to opinion. Like, it's just my brain, the way I want to craft it. It's a place that can't be challenged the way this industry that I'm in constantly negates you. And so writing to me is this very solitary, it's a solitary exercise, and it can feel lonely, but it also feels very free.
Your book, Down Came the Rain. I can't imagine how many women, how many families it has helped tremendously. What made you decide to write that?
It wasn't my idea. I had an agent at the time, God rest his soul, who said it was such a tough, dark period of my life, and nobody was talking about postpartum. It was shameful. You didn't admit to, it not being easy. And I'd gone through IVF 7 times. So hormonally, my whole body was a mess, and my delivery was really brutal. And so I didn't know, I was alone. I was very alone in all of this. And I was made to feel ashamed because nobody was talking about it. And if you didn't have a baby and your hair cascades down when your child is looking up at you and you think the world's perfect. And it was the opposite of all of that. And my agent at the time said, you should write a book. I said, who wants another celebrity crying, oh, poor me? And he said, no. He said, you're not alone in this, but you feel like you are, and other women feel like they're alone. And if you just tell your story, maybe it'll help one person. And so I pitched the idea of this less than perfect version of having a child. And that was it. And it took me 9 months to write it.
The irony, of course,
yeah.
right?
And I think I wrote it because I had support in writing it, because I didn't really make it about me. I made it about a bigger story. And I had a daughter, so I thought, okay, at the very least, this will be a book for my daughter one day to read if she is, God forbid, experiencing anything like this. It was less self-serving than it may, seem.
So it didn't seem self-serving at all. It felt like a sort of a gift, right? I mean, if you experience that, right, you can't be the only one, but you might be the only one that people talk about, and then other people can talk about it.
But that was what was so interesting. And I just talked to my friend about this yesterday. The first reaction I got from people in the dog park and people, when I was like holding this newborn baby, and people were like, oh my God, isn't it best? And you're kind of like, no, I really want to die, but okay, everybody's happy about this baby, and I'm out of my body. I don't feel, everybody said no in the beginning. They were like, no, I didn't experience that. Nope. And then I kept going back to the dog park because I had this dog, and every day I would get my coffee and I would go to the dog park. And slowly people started coming up to me and saying, I think my wife is going through this, or my sister, and I realized that the shame surrounding it was so big that I thought, oh my God, this is sad and difficult, but it's pervasive, and we need to not feel shame about it, and we need to see what our options are. So that was how it materialized. And I was surprised that people's negativity towards it in the beginning was just fear. And then slowly they started kind of stepping forward and saying, yeah, no, I think this is happening.
Do you think that the Tom Cruise part actually made it even broader and for women to understand and to feel like, yeah, there are things you can do
Well,
to help.
it backfired, whatever he was. And I told him this. I was like, you barked up the wrong tree, dude, because it backfired. Because what it did was it gave women a platform on which to stand and yell and say, no, you don't know. You don't have ovaries. You don't understand this. And so it kind of actually contextually, it kind of helped the mission, so to speak. It also brought into focus this idea that maybe medicine does exist for a reason if used appropriately and if supported by doctors and whatever, that it's not just vitamins and exercise. There are medications which exist to help balance hormones and balance your biochemistry.
Have your daughters read it?
No, and it's funny because they were like, "I'm not going to read that, Mom." I said, "Okay, I'm not going to ask you to read it." It's like, you don't have to. One day, if you want to, you will, and if you don't, you don't. It's not about me, It's just maybe they will, maybe they won't. I think it's really hard for kids to, if they have a famous parent, it's hard for them to acknowledge the famous part of you because it means that you're owned by the public and they just want you to be mom. So I think it's, you just have to be able to discuss with them and talk. I mean, they haven't seen one movie I've been in.
Oh, really?
I've tied them to the banister and made them watch You're Killing Me. I'm like, you're going to watch this show. You're going to watch every six episodes of this show. Everyone.
And you're going to laugh whenever I do something funny.
You are going to laugh when I punch you. You're going to laugh.
So another new chapter that you made is becoming the CEO of your company, Commence.
Yes.
How did that happen? How does that role feel?
So during COVID, I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, I just don't understand how I've been in the public eye this many decades, never feeling secure. Always feeling insecure. Always
insecure about what?
Than.
Sorry to interrupt.
Just you're not skinny enough, or you're not something. There's always something that chips away at you. And all my life, I've always felt like, okay, all right, I need to do this better. I need to be a better at this. I need to, and that's just my own natural insecurity, right? And then decades go by, and I was in my 50s. And I thought, excuse the expression, but f it. I feel great. I've got these great kids. I like my body. I feel smart. I've got an opportunity to keep working. And I just I felt good about myself. But everywhere I looked, I was being told by marketing, by advertising, by the beauty industry that I was done. Once your ovaries don't work, you've got one foot in the grave. You had a good run. If you're not the hot girl at the bar, you're in Depends. Like, those are your options. And I said to my friend, I'm pissed off because I feel great now. All the women I know who are over 50 are fabulous. And we're all embarking on new things. And this is before I wrote my book. And I said, I can't imagine that the rest of the world, women in this era of their lives, are feeling represented. They're not represented by the beauty industry. They're not marketed to. They're overlooked. And that was unacceptable to me. So I started a company, an online community called Beginning Is Now. And for the remainder of COVID, we just had these Zooms, 50 over 50, these women from all over the world. We would just talk. And out of that came, why aren't you going into the beauty industry? And how do you keep your hair healthy looking? And so I was like, look, I'm not in the beauty industry. I'm not trying to monetize you. I just want to understand that I'm not alone. And again, like my books, like you go through something and you just want to understand that you're not the only one. So that was this conversation. And then I started Commence, which is a hair care for women over 40, because once you turn 40, hormonally, the skin on your scalp, the biology of it changes. And that's why women's hair thins and dulls and it starts breaking and it's not as healthy, or the luster is not there. And so I went into the lab and developed very limited products for women's scalp. For instance, a woman's scalp, in particular, female, the pores on your scalp shrink. So your scalp cannot absorb hyaluronic acid. So I said, let's create a product that has hyaluronic acid in it. But hyaluronic acid is too big a molecule for your pores to absorb. So I went into the lab and I said, well, can you make it smaller? And they're like, what? I go, you're lab people, make it smaller. And they quaternized it. And we were able to embed hyaluronic acid in our rice powder. So when you use our instant shampoo, it recognizes on your scalp where there's too much oil and sebum. The rice absorbs it, rice powder. And then the hyaluronic acid, actually, when you break it open, delivers moisture to where there's dry patches. So it's like I went into the lab and became crazy. And I created this hair care line. There are 6 products. There's a shampoo, a conditioner, a leave-in conditioner, a root serum, an instant shampoo, and a detangler. And they're all just geared for the over 40 scalp.
Great. So I've been eligible for 20 years.
Oh, see? Me too.
So I saw a Wall Street Journal interview that you did recently. And so you're a CEO now, which you've probably learned all along your career. You can cut many deals in your career. But
well, that's what my best friend said. I said, I don't know how to be a CEO. And she said, are you kidding me? She goes, you came out of the womb a CEO. I was like, oh, okay, maybe you're right.
So how does that role feel to you? Do you like business? How do you approach it?
No. I don't.
Okay.
I don't think I like the politics of business. I appreciate what I've learned. I appreciate it's not very creative. And I think that's where I kind of butt up against it. But what I have appreciated and learned is I was with the VC guy and all the men that I've come up against, asking them for money, purely doing that.
Right. Which is a huge, the numbers are stacked against any woman asking for VC money in a ridiculous way.
Unbelievable. But it's the vernacular in which they operate that I found so offensive. And it was amazing. And after repeatedly getting raked over the coals and being told what I'm doing wrong and how I'm never going to succeed and all of this stuff, I finally had enough. And I was in a room and I finally said to this guy, I said, look, I would like to stop you. I said, I really appreciate your time. You're a very successful man. And I appreciate you sitting with me, but I don't want to waste your time. I said, but I'm not here for your opinion. I'm here for your money. And if you don't want to give me your money, I respect that. So I'll come back to you when I'm in a Series A. Or if I'm in a convertible note and it's different, but whatever. And I got to the elevator and my partner was like, what the hell? Who are you? And I said, I don't want to keep deferring to feeling stupid. Like I get it. I'm new and I'm beginning and I'm learning and I'm going to figure this out. But I don't want to constantly be told just what how I'm wrong. And the women VCs that I sat with never did that. The way they began a sentence was, you know what worked for us? Have you thought about this? And they're still not going to give me money, but they don't do it from a place of negating you. Like out of the gate, I want to learn. I always want to be the dumbest person in the room. But like, if we're really going to help each other, we help shepherd each other. We don't just cut people off at the knees. And so being a CEO on that level has been very interesting to me. I don't enjoy asking for money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't enjoy the logistics of it. I enjoy the creativity. But being an executive producer on my show, I've sort of translated that into this world that I am in now as an exec producer of a show and having opinions that I trust. The commence is trickier and I'm still learning. I can't wait to hire a kick-ass female CEO. I really can't. I can't wait to get a board fleshed out and have someone who is so much smarter than I am in business.
Let me just go back to that guy, though. How did he take that response?
Well, he got all pissy at first.
He probably doesn't get talked to that way often.
No, and I did it. I was like, I mean this with respect, but if I don't take care of myself right now, I'm going to leave here with my tail between my legs, and I don't deserve that. And I literally was like, I can get up and leave right now. I know you're busy. And I wasn't passive aggressive. And he kind of went, and then he actually respected me for it, which was shocking because it could have gone either way. And he introduced us to someone else. I didn't do that again because you only get really one shot at that, I think. But I think he ended up respecting me in the long run.
So another new challenge you took on, which I love the always creating, doing new things, was becoming the president of Actors Equity.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to do that?
It's the hardest thing that I've taken on. I didn't realize the politics of being in a union, but for me, it was always the ensemble and the stage managers. I went into Broadway green. I went in 94, 95. I had no skill. I had no training.
Was Grease your first? Was Grease your first?
That was my first. I played Rizzo and I replaced Rosie O'Donnell on Broadway. And it was when stunt casting wasn't a thing. And the Weislers, they're the producers, and they decided to put famous people in Broadway starring roles to keep ticket sales up. And that was the first time I had ever done that. And it was such a revelation to me to be able to work really hard and do it 8 shows a week. But the people that kept me alive were the ensemble, the cast, the chorus, and the stage managers. And so for a few decades, for like 30 years, I've been on Broadway. And when this position came up, which basically, being the president of Actors Equity, you're basically the president of the chorus, the ensemble, and stage managers. That's who I represent. I represent the Disney players, Chippendales in Vegas, which are brutal to their people. And it's just, these are the people that night after night, for a year at a time, helped me get through a show. And so I thought, if I can fight for better everything for them, why not give it my best shot?
Mm-hmm. We saw you flew to Denver recently and made a surprise visit to a venue where the performers were having an issue with management. How did it go?
This is the South Park team. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I surprised them at Casa Bonita, and I sat with a lot of the people that work there and a lot of the divers that dive off these cliffs. And one girl got a concussion underwater, and the conditions for these performers they're not the best. And so I thought, well, let me just serve them with this petition in person. And I had to run after the guy. There's this video of me running after the guy to give him a letter. And he goes, no. And I go, no, that's okay. You can take this letter. And it's like, I'm not an activist. I'm not political. I stay reticent with regards to all of that. Mm-hmm. But in this case, it just, when you see how poorly these players are treated, and these Casa Bonita and these Chippendales and like all of these, everybody is treated like they're expendable. and they don't realize how hard these people work. And physically, they're taping their ankles up and they're like, and having been someone who's been in the trenches with those people, and I'm lucky. I'm one of the luckier people because I'm me, but I have to shine a light on how hard these people work and how valuable they are, and they're not disposable. So yeah, no, I showed up in Denver. And
surprise. That was a surprise, I would imagine. So let me ask you something. Do you go anywhere where you're not recognized? Does that happen to you ever?
No. Yeah, no, that doesn't happen. But if you have the proper demeanor, it can just be met with, oh, hey. And then that's it. Like if I come in with a hoodie and I'm all like, oh, like then you create some weird scenario around yourself and it's stupid. But if you just kind of go in and be like, hey, I like your haircut. And you go sit down and you kind of diffuse it all immediately. The mystique of it wears off pretty quickly. And then you can have a meal or sit on an airplane.
All right. So another chapter I want to switch to is we ask everyone on the show, how do you do it? How do you do it now? You have a very full life. You've got a lot going on. You've got the show. You've got Actors Equity. You have Commence. You have 2 children. You have dogs. You have a husband. How do you run your life?
You know what? I multitask every day. I wake up multitasking. I have chosen very few people, but quality people to help support me so that I can jump into all these different areas of my life. Every day it's a negotiation. And I feel blessed that I have all this. I mean, I had to go to an event last night and I came home early and I had 2 daughters in my house, 2 boyfriends in my house. And they said, oh, Mom, come home. Have a glass of wine with us. And I was like, God, am I cool? I'm not really that cool, but okay. We sat around the kitchen table with these 2 boyfriends, my 2 daughters, and I looked at my life and I thought, somewhere along the line, I think I did okay. Because my kids want to be around me. And when you have that base, and by the way, I navigated my whole life around them. And I didn't sacrifice. That's not the point. I knew that I wanted my children. I knew that on my deathbed, I was going to look to my kids, not look to my acting jobs, which are everything to me, but my kids come first. And so they watch me work really hard all the time. And I'm a workhorse. So I feel lucky.
So, and I heard you talk a little bit about empty nest. Sounds like the nest is half full.
No, they come
more
back.
Than full half the time. Yeah.
They come back.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, great. Oh, God, they're back.
I know. They're so messy. Yeah.
They're well, and boys are different. I don't have boys. I have girls, which are they're tricky.
Yeah,
they don't smell as bad.
No, but they're emotionally,
tricky. Yeah, they're different. You know, my older daughter's back home, and I heard her say to a friend, she's like, "Yeah, I'm living rent free. What have I got to complain about?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're doing your own laundry. Yes." And it won't be forever that she's going to want to live with other people. But if you're lucky, they want to come back in some capacity. And now I'm sharing them with boys. And I never thought that I would be that easy. I never thought that I'd be that easy. My mother would have never in her life
allowed the sleepovers or...
Oh, my God. No. And so now I'm like, okay, I'm going to be okay with this. But then I'm literally like, you're sleeping with my daughter? Take out the garbage. Detail my car. Pick up after the dog.
All right, we're going to take a very quick break. We'll be right back with the lightning round. So, Brooke, we have the lightning round. So we have some fun questions for you.
Okay.
A few would you rather type. All I ask is that you
Okay.
just don't think about it. Just give the first answer that pops into your head. Okay.
Okay.
Ready? Would you rather the city or the beach?
Beach.
Would you rather cry on camera or do a pratfall on camera?
Pratfall.
Would you rather a date night or a family night?
Family night.
Okay. Would you rather Cheetos or potato chips?
Cheetos.
You said that with some certainty. Okay.
Conviction.
Would you rather be the mother of Hannah Montana or the mother of the bride?
Mother of the bride.
Okay. Pilates or surfing?
Pilates.
EBITDA or ROI? For our listeners who don't know, those are two finance terms.
Oh, EBITDA.
Okay. Aside from commence, what do you need for the perfect shower?
Dr. Bronner's peppermint soap.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Would you rather Princeton Tigers or New York Knicks?
Come on.
I got
PU all the way.
All right. Have you ever been to a New York Liberty game?
No.
They're
Never
fantastic.
been to a Liberty game.
They are fantastic. Okay. What is the last show you binged on?
Drops of God.
Oh, so good.
I just finished the second season.
Oh, you did? Oh, I haven't seen it.
I went to the premiere last night of Dutton Ranch.
Oh, we had on the director.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yes, she was amazing.
She's lovely.
Yeah.
And Kelly Riley and Cole.
Yeah.
Cole. They're just perfect.
What are the books on your nightstand right now?
Oh, I've got The Pivot Year,
Mm-hmm.
which is just sayings. I've got The Tennis Partner, which is Cutting for Stone, Abraham Verhees, next second one.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an addiction book, something about understanding addiction, which I'm always trying to understand.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite quote or song lyric?
To thine own self be true.
Ah, excellent. Okay. What did you do with the first big amount of money you made?
Bought a car.
Okay. I think I've read it. Did you end up selling that car and buy it back?
Yes. My mother sold it. I bought it back.
Uh-huh.
Decades later, 20 years later, I bought it back. Then my daughter used it at university for 3 years. And now it's back in my garage.
Okay, so the last one, 2 parts. What's the best investment you've ever made and the worst investment you've ever made? And it can be a very broad definition of investment. It could be a class or a trip or doesn't need to be a typical investment.
Best investment I ever made was IVF.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, worst investment I ever made. Well, God, probably something vanity-wise, getting my hair permed and feathered at the same time, and it was a disaster.
It's a good thing nobody noticed that, probably.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking time to listen to our conversation on how she does it. Wishing you a week filled with beauty, brains, and some good laughs. We'll have another great conversation for you soon. Until then, onward.